Every year, millions and millions, of migrants move or relocate to different countries, different continents altogether. I'm not only talking about Africans, but I'm talking about people from the world over, people from different continents. And I think relocating to the UK for me has been an eye-opener to say it's not only Africans that are migrating, because I got to meet people from Asia, people from America, people from the world over, relocating for a better life, for better opportunities. However, it doesn't mean it has been an easy road for them. It doesn't mean it's a smooth road for them. There are challenges, and the biggest challenge to relocation is how to fund the relocation journey. And I myself, as an immigrant, has actually faced it firsthand. No wonder why I think today I'll talk about it and I'll share my experiences and the experiences of those that I've spoken to about their relocation journey and their struggles, especially financially, to fund their relocation journey. Guys, a big welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Florence, and on this channel we do talk about life in the diaspora, life abroad. Because for me, I moved to the UK slightly over 2 years ago. It's coming up to 3 years now, and I relocated from Zimbabwe. And it wasn't an easy journey. I relocated on a skilled worker visa, and there were challenges which I'll share with you, especially on the financial side, and give advice and encouragement according to me, guys, of how you can navigate this whole relocation journey. So do stay tuned on this platform and be kind enough to subscribe if you haven't done so. And if you've done so, thank you so much for the support and for the love, and continue sharing with your family and friends so that they too can be bold enough to take the step to better their own life. So guys, without much ado, let's get straight into it. So one of the things I want to talk about is how the different means and ways in which one can fund or finance their relocation journey. This has been maybe because of one of the questions I got asked in the comments, whereby someone says, Florence, you spoke about your previous experience, your previous qualifications, but why did you choose to come on a health and care worker visa? In as much as I love care, I enjoy it, and I'm not planning on going back to what I used to do. But one of the reasons why I chose care and care in the UK was financial. I will share with you later on in the video, so do stay tuned. So my journey had been a long journey. I tried 5 different countries, 5 different pathways, and each time I would have made strides or made some progress along that journey. One of the things that would stop me in my tracks were financial. I do remember when I had got admission into a community college in America, I had everything planned out. I wanted to study in America. I wanted to start all over, get a degree, because it has always been one of my passions, and it's still my passion. I'm going to get that degree one day. But then what they wanted was proof of funds. And that proof of funds was amounting to something like $20,000, because they wanted to see how I was going to survive in the United States. How was I going to be paying for my school fees? There was a lot that they needed. And to make it simple, they were flexible enough. They wanted maybe bank statements from a family friend or a family member who could support me, but I could not get that. It's not like I'm from a very rich background now. So every time I would embark on a journey, on a relocation journey, or every time I would focus on a pathway, finances would always be a hindrance, partly because I had no savings, partly because I had nothing to sell, which makes me probably want me to talk about the first thing I want to talk about, of how people are funding their journey, because you see people going, you see people relocating. Personal savings is a great way of really funding your relocation journey. If you can, or if you have, and you want to take that bold step, and you want to risk and start a life all over abroad, it's a better way of really funding your journey without having to rely on I'm looking for free sponsorships, I'm looking for free scholarships. You could start by using your own personal savings. As for me and my family, we because of where we come from, because of the economy in our country, we didn't have any savings whatsoever. So from the start, when we were preparing all the documentation, we were set, this is the pathway that we wanted to take, the health and care worker visa. We had weighed the options to say it doesn't require so much money. If we come through that pathway, we would have navigated having to pay the health surcharge, because people are exempted when they come through the health and care worker visa, which is why I'm an advocate for this visa in particular, to say if you want to relocate to the UK, try the health and care worker visa, because you do away with a lot of expenses. And if you're fortunate and diligent enough, you can actually get an organization that will fund your whole process, which I will share later on in the video of how I came to come to the UK. So if you do have personal savings, it's a good and great way of really embarking on this journey, relocation journey. Fund your own journey, start the whole process using your own savings. It's a good way. You don't have to borrow from anybody. But we didn't have all those things. So it was hand to mouth at first. The second way in which you can fund your relocation journey would have to be borrowing from friends and family. We did it. But there are things that I want to highlight when we do borrow from friends and family. Timing is very key and essential. For us, we didn't borrow from the word go. When we were still writing our English, doing our TB tests, doing passports for the whole family, we had to fund that ourselves. We wanted to see how far it would get. We had not even get a job offer or an interview, so we didn't see the sense in borrowing from the word go, which is one of the things I do encourage people to say. You don't have to borrow from day one. You don't have to borrow from round about the time you want to buy Wi-Fi or buy the internet for you to be researching. There are things that you have to do on your own. So we didn't borrow from friends and family until we had our job offer, until I remember the first time we approached family to borrow was when we wanted to apply for our visas. Fine, we had ran around and we had finances for one person to apply, but I wanted to come with my husband at the same time for reasons that I shall share in another video why we chose to come together. So, of course, I've shared in another video why we're to leave the kids behind. It's worth watching. If you're watching this one and you haven't watched that video where we spoke about why we left our children in Africa, it's worth watching, because you will see the thought process in how we would make the decisions along the way, how we make our decisions around this whole relocation diaspora journey. So that might help you. So, we only had money for one visa, but we wanted to come together. So that's when we approached our family and friends to say, okay, we need so much money. And because it was such a short notice, because we got our visas, but then we just wanted to come right away. So the flights, we didn't have much time to look for cheaper flights. It was peak time, because we came in the summer, like the UK summer, so flights were really expensive that time around. So we approached our family and friends, and we were honest enough to highlight where we were with the whole process. I do remember right from when we got our job offer and things were starting to take shape, we told some of the friends and family who we knew we would approach for help. That helps a lot for you to tell them in advance, just in case you may need to ask for financial help from them. It doesn't help much for you to just ambush people and say, I've got a visa and I need money for flights. Some people may take it like you were planning your whole journey, you were planning your things, and then you just show up because you want money. You know, it's a trust issue. So for us, we had spoken to family that we knew, family and friends that we knew we would want to approach and borrow from in the event that we needed. So it's worth exploring that route whereby you're approaching your friends and family. So that brought us to where that's how we financed our visas. And of course, when it came to flights again, our lovely, beautiful family and friends again helped with that. So they made it possible. But there are things that we did with them. My husband and I always discuss, like, so how are we going to repay? One of the things that people tend to overlook is the fact that if family and friends are helping you, you don't have to have the gray lines where you don't know whether or not you are to repay or whether or not they're just helping you and you don't have to repay. So we were we were so upfront with our family and friends. We are borrowing and we will pay you back. And timelines are very key from the word go. We were honest enough with them to say, we will not be able to pay you from the word go because we'll be trying to settle in. We don't know how it's going to turn out where we are going. But at least give us up to 6 months. We're going to pay within those 6 months. And thank goodness we were honest enough to pay back within those 6 months. It's very, very important. It serves relationships. It's a show of character of who you are as a person. And I've been privileged enough to hear stories of people that are still haven't paid. Years and years later, they haven't paid. And this brings animosity between friends, animosity between family members, where you hear stories like, oh, they're already building in back home, but they haven't paid the money that we helped them with. It's not something that's pleasant. So if you're going to finance your relocation journey through help from friends and family, it's worth being trustworthy about it. The third way in which people can fund their relocation journey, which I did along the way, I didn't entirely want to burden my friends and family like that, so I would borrow small amounts that I know I would return, is to approach a lending institution like a bank. I did it along the way. Thank goodness I was working for a former organization, and so I was eligible to get a loan facility from the bank. But obviously, there are challenges when you do that, which I will mention for the sake of those who would want to try it. For us, for some banks, I don't know where, depending on where you live, the moment you mention that you want to finance your relocation journey, they may not give you that money because, well, I'll share with you our example to say there is no really direct system between if you're overseas and then you want to repay the bank, there's no direct way of paying. So there are challenges with the system. So for us, it wasn't directly to say we want to finance our relocation, but it was for when we were doing our IELTS, we were doing our TB tests, so it was for exams. So those were small amounts that we knew as soon as we relocate, we'll be able to fund our journey. So for those of you who would have wondered, how did they finance it? It was through borrowing. We took the risk because whichever way, where we worked and how we were surviving back home, it wouldn't have made it possible for us to just fund our journey without having to borrow. We wouldn't have done it without that. So those are some of the challenges that you may face in the event that you want to borrow from a financial institution. For us as well, one of the challenges that we faced was the fact that when we wanted to lend from a financial institution, they needed a guarantor, at least one or two guarantors. So when we approached our friends to say we want to approach the bank to borrow, we had to be honest enough with them to say we are on a relocation journey. Anytime we could relocate. But the challenge with that is with some friends and family, the moment you tell them you could relocate any minute and leave a huge credit that they have to guarantor, some of our friends and family were not on board with it, were just backtracked. They didn't want to get involved just in case they could be left with a huge debt to pay on our behalf in the event that we relocate, disappear, and fail to pay back. So thank goodness we do have some friends that have always believed in us, that have always trusted us, they've always took our word for it. So kudos to them, because it was a friend who actually went and guaranteed us at the bank. And trust me, guys, I think 3 weeks after we had taken that loan, we relocated to the UK. But we had to assure this friend of ours to say, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to be paying back. And trust me, we didn't miss a premium. We didn't miss a premium. So we would send money to them and they would change that money to the local currency and pay back. So it's very possible. There are people who would say, if I do that, what will happen? What if I get blacklisted? Yes, it's one of the things that I want to clarify here, to say, if you're going to borrow from a financial institution, please make sure you've got a plan in place of how you're going to repay it. Because you could say the banking system, the economy doesn't work today, but it could work up tomorrow and it's working and very functional. And you would have left a huge debt back home and you're blacklisted. And then wherever you would have relocated to, this could follow you. So we were we were conscious of that. We were conscious of how we want to live financially. So we cleared our debt. So which brings us to why we had to be honest with our friends and family who helped us to say, we will not be able to pay you back right away, but we will do it within the first 6 months of relocating. And we managed to do that. So it all goes down again to goals. And the reason why I'm sharing this is to encourage somebody who will be saying, because I do get those messages a lot to say, oh, my biggest challenge is I don't have money. I can't finance this journey. But there are means and ways, which brings us to the fourth thing that I want to talk about. I want to talk about crowdfunding. I don't know what you call it in your own language if you're watching this video, but where I come from, we call it mukando. So it's a contentious one, this one, but people are doing it. People are relocating with it. So how this work is, maybe you've got 4 or 5 friends or family that you know so well, are on a similar journey with you, are wanting the same things and the same goals as you. So you come together and then you're on the same wavelength. You all understand what you want to do. I'll give you an example to say, probably you're all nurses and you want to relocate maybe to Australia, UK, Canada, wherever. So you're putting together your resources, you're trusting each other. And this takes trust and genuine friendship, genuine love for each other. So people put together resources to say, okay, we're going to, I'll give an example, I'll give a name to say, we're going to fund Lucy first, give Lucy so much money, and then they go first. And then we'll do for this one. I've seen communities where people have done that and they've successfully done that. And this takes those friendships, those bonds, those family and friends, that love that has stood the test of time. So if it's for you, if you have got that group of friends who have got a similar journey, similar goals with you, try it. It could work. That saves you from borrowing from everyone, borrowing from financial institutions, the uncertainty and the hassle and the doubt that you go like, I can't go through all this. Probably it's not for me. So look around your friends and see what your goals amongst friends are. The fifth thing, which is the final thing I'm going to talk about when it comes to funding our relocation journey, would have been selling properties. I'm not a big fan of this, but I've come across people who have done it. Probably they had a piece of land, they had a house back home, they had an inheritance of family, and they sold that to fund their relocation journey. That's a big risk, but people are doing it, and kudos to them. But what I can say is, you got to believe in what you're embarking on. You got to believe in your journey first before you can commit to anything. I think there are people who look at people who make such a huge commitment, who make such a huge stride, and they go like, I wouldn't do that. It depends with how much you believe in yourself. Everybody believes in their journey differently. Everyone believes in their abilities differently. Everybody plans differently. I'll tell you for a fact, when we were relocating, there were people who came to us and go like, but you can't go to the UK and do such and such a job. But we knew what we wanted. We knew what it would do for us. We knew what we could achieve out of it for us. So it depends with how much you believe in your journey, how much you believe in a route. So again, as I'm saying these things, it's not just for people that are coming to work. Some people are relocating on an educational or on a study visa. So no wonder why other people would sell properties to fund that. I've said at the beginning of the video that when I wanted to move to America on a study visa, it would need for me to have like $20,000, which is like maybe the amount maybe one would have sold a piece of land or sold their house, or sold maybe their inheritance, whichever way. So it depends with how much you want that journey, how much you believe on it, how much potential you see in it. I'm always in my posts, in my videos, on my socials, I'm always talking about having a vision, a goal, and a purpose. To say, okay, this is how I envision my life. In the event that this works out, this is how I envision my life. So that way it determines the amount of risk that you take. However, having relocated to the UK on a skilled worker visa, there are things that I have come across. I think relocation is it's a long-term investment. It will eventually pay off long-term. The first maybe 3 to 5 years for some are the worst, are the hardest, are the most stressful, depending on the job that you do, depending on a lot of things. So depending on your income, depending on your circumstances, depending on the things that you'd have left back home. I'll give you a quick rundown of some of the challenges that people can face financially in the first year to 5 years. I've said 5 years because people have got different circumstances. So the reason why I thought I would talk about those challenges in the first few years of relocating is because we've talked about people that sell properties, people that sell their inheritance properties that they would have invested in when they were back home to fund the relocation journey. Chances are, depending on the circumstances again, you may not be able to buy the same land in the same location. You may not be able to buy the same house or build the same house in the same location in the long term. No wonder why one of the things as a woman, as a mom, I always prayed about was, God, I hope on this relocation journey, we don't have to sell some of the things that we had, some of the things that, inheritances and things like that. But we find a way of funding it. But I'm not judging, or I'm not being corny towards people that have done that. I wish them well, and I do hope they'll work as hard as they did to acquire those things in the first place. But it's hard. So some people do that. So depending again on your reasons, depending again on your strategy of again having to acquire those things back, and just know you will have to work hard for you to get those things back. So some of the challenges that could hinder people paying back to families, people repaying loans that they would have borrowed from banks, getting back properties that they would have sold, is the fact that as soon as you land in the diaspora, bills are waiting for you. You don't live for free in this country. Cost of living is just like waiting for you, and it will show you flames. So some people have actually messed up relationships because they failed to pay back, having borrowed from family and friends, and then they fail to pay back. In the event that you're failing, you're struggling, it's very important for you to go back again to them and say, okay, these are my challenges. Can I do installments? Or once I find my feet, this is how I'm going to pay you back. I'll share with you later towards the end of this video how we managed to pay back our debts and everything after relocating, and we managed to do that in the first 6 months, which wasn't easy, but I'll share with you how we did it. And I'm not saying that's the best, but it's important for you to go back to your family and friends and reassure them that you still owe them. You haven't forgotten about paying them back. It's just that you're still having the same challenges. You're still trying to find your feet. It's better that way than for you to just go quiet as if you're ignoring them. And then again, I will speak briefly on people that have got no morale at all. People that would rather be embarking on projects back home without having paid those friends. Guys, let's be people that can be helped. Let's be people that are human enough to understand that for somebody to extend a hand and help you, it takes a lot of sacrifice, especially if they are in the diaspora. Even if they're back home, it's hard to be able to fork out money and pay for a ticket, £700, £1,000, so many dollars for people that are going on study visas, to pay like $3,000, $5,000 to someone, and then for you to just like go MIA on them. It's not good. So this brings us to where probably a lot of people go like, so how do I pay back? How do I? For us, it took hard work and sacrifice. I do remember, I always shared this one to say, I remember within those 6 months, my husband used to send me like £10 and say like, that's your upkeep money, because we didn't live in the same town for I think about 4 or 5 months because the children were not here. So one of the things, I'll give you a quick rundown of how we managed. So he used to send me £10 a week for me to survive on. If you know what you're here for, if you know the things that are ahead of you, the things that you've got to pay back, £10 is a lot. £10 is a lot. So I didn't need much For as long as I had food, fruit, and whatever, I was all right. Thank goodness the organization that brought me was sorted out my accommodation. If we needed anything, they would support with food and groceries. So I was kind of sorted, to be fair. The second way in which we managed to save and fund was the fact that we had to like take on second jobs. The two of us. People are doing it. So if your visa allows you to do that, if your visa allows you to work, I'm saying if your visa allows you to, because there are people who would have come on student visas and they can work so much hours. I'm not an advocate for people breaking their immigration rules. Always make sure that whatever that you're going to do, whatever job, extra work that you're going to do, your visa allows you to do that. You stay within the rules of your visa. It's very important. So we had to take on second jobs because we knew we had debts to pay, we knew we had children to bring over, we knew where to find our feet, and we wanted to do that in 6 months. So setting goals and achieving them is one thing, and for us, we managed to do that. So the third thing that we did where people can was the fact that one of the reasons why my husband had to live in a different town from me was the fact that he was staying with family. So that meant like we didn't have to pay exorbitant rentals because I was in a smaller property. I was somewhere where we could save on rent. So if you are in that situation where you've relocated and you can actually stay with family and friends and not have to pay rent, not have to like foot so many bills, so that you can save and pay back, that goes a long way. Pick up that option. Sometimes it may be uncomfortable, it may be this and that, but for the sake of you financing or you paying back all those debts, please take that offer up. So we had lovely, amazing family and friends who took him on, so we managed to save a little bit. The fourth thing that I want to share with you, this happened with me, and we are in a group of women that know each other, that come from the same town. So we do this often. If one is struggling, what people will do is, I'll give you an example to say, if somebody was struggling probably with buying a car, because we are all in care work in this group. So, and we were all doing domiciliary care. So one of the things that was quite important was for somebody to be driving, for somebody to be having a car. So people would just like crowdfund you. Okay, so and so needs a car, or so and so needs deposit for their rent, or so and so need to renew their visa. People just give whatever they can. So there is an admin for this group. So one would approach the admin with whatever issue that they have, and then people would fund you the amount that you need. The good thing with that group is people would fund, like someone is putting in 150, 200, 300, and they are not so wanting you to pay that there and then, but it gives you a bit of a cushion. So with your car, with your rentals, with your deposit and things like that, so it takes the pressure off you. It makes you, find your feet, and then still you had to pay it back. You just would go to the admin and say, I'll pay back in this month, or I'll pay back after so long, and there was no pressure there, and people managed well. So guys, I think I've said enough in terms of how people can finance their journey. This is doable. You don't have to give up on your dream because you don't have money. Excuse me. Find a way, find a strategy. And I've shared with you strategies that work, practical strategies, practical solutions of how we did it. We're not here to gatekeep. We're not here to say we made it because we could. We didn't, but we made it because we had the support of family and friends. And you could probably be surrounded by very supportive family and friends, but you just never thought they would support you thus far. We did it, and we are here, and it's doable. So guys, this brings us to the end of this video. And just to take away from this video is the fact that you need to come up with your own personal financial strategy that work. And you need to be honest with your journey, and you need to be determined about it. So guys, thank you for today, and I'll see you in our next video. Bye for now.